Hey everybody, it's Joe with Igniting History. I know it's been a long time since we have done anything. Life gets in the way and sometimes you just don't have time, but I have a lot of time now, so I'm going to go ahead and start back doing some of these videos for everybody to watch and enjoy. We're going to start a series on pirates, and our first guy that we're going to do here is Henry Morgan. And remember, subscribe to our page, hit the like button, share it with your friends, tell everybody what we're all about, and enjoy it. That's what this is all about, right? So we're going to talk about Henry Morgan, one of the most successful pirates in the Caribbean. He became a knight, and he was a governor, and he was also a privateer. So you can almost call him maybe not a pirate, but we're going to talk about that as we go along. So when you talk about Captain Morgan or Henry Morgan, usually the image that comes to mind is this guy from the Captain Morgan's rum distillery. That's their logo, and when you hear the name Captain Morgan, that's usually what people talk about. But he was a real person, and he was a very successful pirate and privateer. Now, when he was born in 1635 in Wales, which makes him a Welsh privateer or pirate, which of course is part of the United Kingdom now, off on the coast of Britain over there. And this time, as always, because Spain had such a huge influence in the Caribbean because of the silver and gold trade that they had found, like Cortez and them, when they took those lands over, they were sending a ton of gold and silver to Spain. They were grabbing up land, and England and France and the Dutch, they were all in on the action, and that's where the action was. It was in the New World. So the English, like the other European nations, wanted what some of Spain had, and so they started warring with Spain. And they think that Morgan made his way to the Caribbean around 1655-ish. Okay, he might have been part of this expedition to take Jamaica back from the Spanish around 1655. They know he made his way to Jamaica at some point, and they think this is where he may have done it. But his early life, like a lot of these people, they don't really know a whole lot because the record keeping wasn't exactly the best. So we do know he is in Jamaica in 1655, and that's kind of where he starts his career as a privateer. Now, what is a privateer? A privateer is basically a legal pirate. It is a person who has been given orders from, let's say in this instance, England, to seize Spanish ships, towns, treasure, loot, whatever you want to call it, and you're allowed to do that under the English colors. That's why he never flew a Jolly Roger or a pirate flag, because he wasn't technically a pirate, but a lot of people put him in the same category as one. I know the Spanish do, similar to Francis Drake, who also was considered a pirate by the Spanish. Pirate is basically a lot of pirates were privateers at one time, and they got tired of only preying on certain countries' ships, so they decided to go against everybody, and once you do that, you become a pirate. He also may have been a big part of an expedition to Cuba in 1662. He was second in command of a buccaneer unit during the second, what's called the Anglo-Dutch War, between 1665 and 1667, where he started to kind of rise in the ranks, and his notoriety became a big deal. And this is a picture of him on the side there. And he became the leader of that buccaneer unit as he was going up through the ranks. And he started then from Jamaica. That was like his port of choice there, Port Royal, which is considered the wickedest city in the world at that point because of the pirate activity and all the debauchery and all that they had there. In 1668, he captured a place called Puerto Principe, Cuba, and Portobello in Panama, in 1 year. So like I said, he was very successful in what he was doing. That's probably why he's so famous, right? This was the one of the forts that he had taken in, I believe it was Port-au-Prince. You can see the cannons are still there, the walls are still there, but this is one of the places where he He was around a long time ago. As a privateer in 1669, he led a series of raids on the settlement in Lake Maracaibo off the coast of Venezuela. Again, a lot of stuff in South America and in Central America nowadays, in the Caribbean area. 1670, his most successful raid was on Panama City. Him and 2,000 other fellow buccaneers and about 36 ships set their sights on Panama, and in 1771 he captured the city. But he got out of town, and during the looting, the city burned down with a lot of his people in it still. He would desert his men and flee the scene, and took a lot of his treasure with him. And his ship, the Gist, was also sunk off the coast of Panama. Now, when he did this, the war between Spain and England had officially been over, but news travels so slowly at that time, he didn't know. So when news got back that he had done this, he was actually arrested and taken back to England as a prisoner, okay, for war crimes. However, as they always did, relations with Spain and other European countries, they went south quickly. And they deteriorated, and so Morgan was released, and he was well liked by the King of England, Charles II, and he was made governor of Jamaica, and he was knighted, so he became a knight, Sir Henry Morgan. And in 1674, he returned to Jamaica as almost like a hero, where he had several stints as the governor. He even tried to oust pirates in Port Royal. He wasn't a fan of them. Remember, again, he was a privateer. Port Royal had this reputation for being the wickedest city in the world, and he wanted them out. So it was actually successful. He started making changes in that area, and he got a lot of them out. And they took their from Port Royal, they went to like the Bahamas, and then they went to Charleston. These pirates did. So they moved from area to area, but because these governors like Morgan had enough, and they wanted to clean their city up. That's one of the things that Morgan was known for. And a pirate farmer, I guess, a privateer farmer. Morgan, he finished out his last years there in Jamaica as a farmer. He would die, they believe, either cirrhosis or tuberculosis, living out his days out there in Jamaica. He died in 1688. So he didn't live very long, but a lot of times they didn't, life expectancy of people back then wasn't as long as it is now, considering. But he still, during his brief life, he was able to amass quite a fortune, and he made quite the reputation for himself. So let's talk a little bit about some facts about him and some areas where he was operating in. So this is a map of the Caribbean, and you can see up here in the right corner, this area here is highlighted, right? That's the Caribbean. And so he's from Wales, which is right up in here. So he had traveled all the way down here, which a lot of them did at that time, So when he came to Jamaica, right? So his main port was here in Jamaica. He attacked here in Cuba. He went down here to Panama City. Here's Lake Maracaibo. And him, along with a lot of the other privateer and pirates in the time, were operating in these areas. There's video games and there's movies about these guys, Pirates of the Caribbean. So they had a large, significant presence in this area, and they basically were preying on the Spanish. That's where they got their start from. The Spanish had the money, we're going to take some of this money. So whether they did it legally or not legally, they did it. So this is the area of operations for Morgan and his fellow buccaneers. So the Gist was the name of his ship. This is a model of it right here. You can see it's a pretty good looking ship. They actually found it off the coast of Panama, and some of his treasure. You can see here some of the efforts of the scuba divers that are pulling some of the materials from the ship, like the cannons and things of that nature, up out of the water there to get preserved. And you notice here some cannons, and here's another picture of some divers here excavating the ship, which I think that's really cool. The amount of shipwrecks that ought to be on the bottom of the ocean is probably quite horrendous, but the amount of information they tell us is invaluable. And there's some pieces of 8, it looks like, or maybe some other coins that were taken from his treasure and the ship during that dive. And that's basically all we have on Morgan, at least all I have on Morgan right now. Of course, he did a lot more in his life, but this is, just a quick, hitter when it comes to Henry Morgan, and something just to give you a little bit of information, maybe spark your interest on, a different person you may not have known of, or maybe just seen the commercials for the Captain Morgan's rum. But anywho's, hope you liked the video. We're going to do another one on another pirate in a couple days, now that I have a lot of time to do that. And if anybody wants to see a specific pirate, please, shoot me a message, and I'll be happy to take it into consideration. Otherwise, I hope you guys are all doing safe, keeping safe, being well, and we're gonna get all through this together. Okay, you guys. So we'll see you on the flip side. Remember, subscribe, like, and share our page. Tell your friends about us. Okay. Bye.